All right, so I want to thank y'all for joining me. This is going to be the first edition of Craftinista Sundays for October 2019. So I'm so excited that y'all have joined me. Today we're going to learn how to make and decorate the Starbucks tumblers, the reusable Starbucks cups, these cups right here. So where you find these cups? So you can find them at Starbucks. We have a Starbucks here, and although we have a lot of crafters here, nobody be buying these cups like that. So you can find them at your local Starbucks. Just ask them for their reusable hot cups. So they come like this, and then there's like the clear one too, which you can decorate those ones as well. Let me check the chat. So this is being filmed live, and then I'm going to post a replay to my YouTube channel. So again, where you can find these cups. So you can find them pretty much at any Starbucks. Just ask them for the reusable hot cups. Walmart has them now. I've seen them on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure if you just like type in reusable Starbucks cups, then it'll come up. So I got these from my local Starbucks. They were $2 each. There's also a tall clear one that you can get from Starbucks, and they're like $3, which makes them very, very affordable. And so the reason why I wanted us to do these cups instead of buying blank cups and putting the Starbucks symbol on them is because I love y'all and I don't want y'all to get sued. And I've been crafting long enough to remember when Starbucks did a campaign where they challenged people to decorate these cups. So that's why I chose these cups as opposed to like buying blank cups and saying, okay, well, buy the Starbucks SVG and you can just make your own and decorate your own. I didn't want to do that. Although you're welcome to do that, y'all grown, you can do whatever you want. But as for me and my Craftinistas, I want y'all to be safe. I want y'all to be responsible crafters. And I do not want anybody under my wings to ever get sued for infringement. So as far as we know right now, Starbucks is still allowing people to decorate and sell these cups without any problems, but always keep in mind when it comes to copyright and trademark and intellectual property that the license owner always has the right to decide how they want to enforce their mark. So if at any point Starbucks did decide to stop people from selling these, then you would have to stop selling them. But for right now, as of October 2019, I have not seen any cases or read anything about Starbucks coming after people to make them stop using these. And if I did, I would not be teaching this. And if it ever happens, I'll take it off my channel. So that's y'all's warning. And I wanted to put that in here, and I wanted to make sure I said that and acknowledge that because I did get a few emails where people were concerned, like, can we get sued? And I just want y'all to know, I genuinely do care for y'all. I probably ain't never met none of y'all, probably won't never meet none of y'all ever in my life, your life, my daughter's life, whatever. But I still care about y'all, and I'm not trying to like, I know there's different things that can be lucrative. And I'm not one of those coaches, I'm not one of those people, and I'm not one of those type of teachers that's gonna say, well, I'm gonna teach you how to do something that could probably get you in trouble down the line. So that's not me. So y'all can pretty much always trust that if I'm teaching you something, it's something that I've researched myself, something that I do myself, and I would never, ever teach any of y'all anything that could possibly get you in any kind of trouble. So I wanted to put that out there because I got so many emails, and I'm like, dang, what kind of person y'all think I am? Like, y'all, but then I know in the crafting community that it's a pretty big thing for everybody. People feel like everybody does a little bit of infringement. It's like everybody do a little bit of drugs. So I know, like, in the crafting community, that's kind of how it goes. So I'm not offended or bothered by it. I just understand that, like, not everybody thinks like me, and that's okay. I've been in enough crafting groups to know how it goes. So what are you gonna need for your supplies? It's pretty simple, and that's part of the reason why I love this cup so much, because it's so easy and it's so fast. Granted, tonight we're gonna take a little bit longer time because obviously I'm walking you through it, but for the most part, I can knock these cups out in like 5 minutes or less. So the profit margin is huge. The potential is huge. You can pretty much make you can make it your own. You can customize it to, you know, your own liking. So that's really a good thing. So as far as the supplies that you're gonna need, so you're going to need some 651 vinyl. I buy my vinyl from either Atlanta Vinyl Supply or Brilliant Vinyl or JSI Signs in Norcross. This is my sister. Hi. Hey. Just rude. Anyway, so you're gonna need 651 vinyl. Again, I get mine from JSI Signs, Brilliant Vinyl, which is in McDonough, Atlanta Vinyl, which is in the outskirts of Atlanta, or whatever vinyl store. I rarely buy my vinyl from Michael's or a craft store. Yep. I told my whole family, I'm about to go live. I need y'all to be quiet. They was not trying to be quiet. So I'm like, all right, I'm about to move my whole dang operation to the porch, right? I moved the operation to the porch. Guess who keeps coming back to the porch?
Don't get me together. I'll be back.
Guess who keeps coming back to the porch? So I'm out here because I'm trying to do this for y'all, and this is them, so whatever. Anyway, you're going to need 651 vinyl. You're going to need some type of transfer tape. Now, this is contact paper from Dollar Tree, $1. You get all of this for $1. Look at this. It's contact paper, but it works the same as transfer tape. I've also used the Duck brand transfer tape. The only transfer tape that I do not like, and I'm sorry, Ashish, I love you. I don't like the Cricut transfer tape. That's the only transfer tape I do not like, but the Duck brand has worked well for me. And now if I can find it at Dollar Tree, I always stock up on this because what is $1 and I ball out at Dollar Tree. So you're gonna need the vinyl, the transfer tape. You're going to need your weeding tools. So, and actually I got these today at Harbor Freight. And I don't know if y'all ever been to Harbor Freight, but I went today and it's amazing. They're actually having a sidewalk sale this weekend, and I got these. So these are the weeding tools that I'm going to use. Before this, I had the Cricut tools, but I got to rebuild my whole craft supplies. So I got these today. So I'm going to use this for my weeding, and it looks like this. And it was $2.99. I think I might have paid like 20 bucks for that Cricut stuff. You're also going to need some scissors, an X-Acto knife. And what else? And you're gonna need your cup cradle. If you haven't watched my tutorial on how to make this really, really easy cup cradle, you can find this tutorial on my YouTube channel. Just search cup cradle or Rakisha Craftinista. I think I called it Dollar Tree cup cradle hack or something. So you'll need to use this. And then also if you want to package it for sale, you'll need a few other things. So what I do when I package these to give to people is I use these treat bags from Dollar Tree. It's the 25 count. They're called loop bags, but I call them treat bags because I always give stuff another name. So they come in a pack of 25 for what? $1. So I use these, and then I'll also use the Grow Grain ribbon. And of course you can get that from anywhere. So I just tie this in a bow. I got this from Target, the Christmas thing last year, and it says $1, but honey, I went like 3 days after Christmas, and I caught this stuff for 90% off. I lost my dang mind in Target that day. So you'll need some ribbon if you want to package it to sell. And of course you'll need the cups from Starbucks. So really the cost of making it's about maybe $3 when you really think about it, because it doesn't take you very long. I'm going to be using Design Space. Oh, and you'll also need the SVG, which I'm going to put in the description box. You'll need a cutter, because I don't know anybody that could cut this precise. So you'll need a cutter. I'm going to use Design Space today, but you can get the SVG in the description from Etsy. And I think with the silhouette machines, you can also use SVGs with them. I could not master silhouette. My sister could, and she told me that y'all can import SVGs. So if you want to still follow along with the production process, you can, but for the purposes of like the design part, I'm going to be using Design Space. So The first step is you want to import your design into Design Space. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so y'all can see. I wanna check the chat because I see people have like made some comments. Hold on. All right, so hi Lakita, hi Nicola. All right, so Lakita asked, how much can you charge for the cup we're about to make? So here's the thing. When it comes to selling your craft projects, two things matter. One, the cost of your production cost, and two, your location. So for example, if you're in a place where you know, you're pretty exclusive, then your price can be a little bit more because the demand, you know, supply and demand and all that stuff. But at a minimum, I charge $8 for this cup. And sometimes I'll do like 2 for $15, and that's pretty much how I'll do it. Like on my ads, it'll say personalized Starbucks cup 2 for $15. And that's just an easy way to be like, you made 2 cups. And when you think about it, each cup is $2. So you pay $4, and then the vinyl, the sheets that I buy, they're like 90 cents, $1 per sheet. So really, and if you haven't ever taken my pricing for profit class, you can go get that from my website at rakisha.com. But really, it might cost you maybe $3 to make it. So I usually just do 2 for $15. All right, and what I'll do, since we're live and I'm gonna post the replay to my YouTube, I'll pause every couple minutes if y'all have questions. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'll go ahead and share my screen so I can show y'all how I make it in Design Space. And this is from my test, which I don't want to do. Don't be like me. Make sure y'all organize y'all files. Don't be like me. Be better than me. Organize y'all files. And every week, I say I'm going to organize my files, and every week it be a lie. So I'm just saying, don't be like me, be better than me. At least organize your files. All right, so we're going to pull up Design Space. Dang, this thing's sharp. All right, we're gonna pull up Design Space, and I actually just cut one, so I'm gonna go back. And if y'all just joining me, because I stopped putting people in the waiting area, if y'all are just joining me, you haven't missed much. We are now at the part where I'm gonna show y'all how to make the circle part in Design Space. All right, so I have the SVG pulled up. I'm gonna try to, I don't know who had my computer today, but they don't move these little icons on the side, and I'm annoyed. All right, so we have the circle. Well, I know I have the circle. So I have all these different copies. So what I do when I'm making several is I have the blank imported, and then what I do is I make a copy of it. So before I make any edits to it, I make a copy. So just your standard keyboard controls, Control C, Control V, those work in Design Space. And then I'm gonna hide the original one and protect it from myself because I don't want no problems with it. So I'm actually gonna delete this because y'all don't need to see all this. All right, so this is the blank that you get from Etsy. When you import it into Design Space, that's what this looks like. I don't size it. I don't play with anything when it comes to this. And it comes with the letters, but I actually like to use my own. And the font that I'm gonna use today is Arial Black. So you can see it here. And it's a free font. The style is regular. And the thing that you want to pay attention to with this is you want to pay attention to the height, the size. So the height that I make my letters is 0.384. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this tutorial is because when I was looking for some help with doing this, I didn't really see a lot of people who are like really going into depth about the sizing and the placement and all that, everybody was just kind of breezing through it. And I was like, whoa, I need y'all to slow down. So I wanted to make sure that I went through every single detail with y'all. So there's like no question about how to do the different steps. So when it comes to the sizing of the letters, I keep the height at 0.384. The most width that I would do for this is maybe like 4 inches, and that's it. Because anything more than that, you see these stars on the side, and you could close out the stars if you wanted to, just add the shapes, and then, you know, you add the circle, and then you would attach it and weld it to close out the stars. If you don't like the stars, you can do it like that. So I'll show you, just in case you're like, I don't even like these dang stars. So you can just insert a shape. Oh, JK. Insert a shape and make sure that it's inside and that it's not touching anything else, so it doesn't distort the one that you already have. And is it all the way covering it? Nope, not quite. So you insert it, and then you see it's covering the star. So then you would select it like this, and then click weld. And you see now the star is gone. So if you don't like the star, you can take it off. I like it just because it gives me a bit of a guide. So I actually like my star. But if you don't, that's okay too. And I just wanted to show y'all, like, you don't have to use it this way. I just like this particular file because it comes perfectly sized. And so what I'm gonna do, like the circle right now is 3.624 width and 3.486 high. So you can see that up here. All right, so then the next thing you do is just type out whatever it is you want it to say. Like I've made this for a few people, and it really depends. So like this Hennessy one is pretty much the most letters that I've made, and this is actually 2.995. So that's really how the biggest that I would make it. So just so y'all can see how big this is. So you see? All right, so, and then you can do, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen like this might be wine, this might be tea, 100% that B. Like you could pretty much make it say really whatever it is you want to make it say. That's part of the beauty of crafting. And so what I do next is I just type out whatever it is I want it to say. And I am going to make one that says dance fuel. So type out the dance, and I'm going to change the font to the Arial Black. Just make it easy on myself. And I like that this is a really, really bold font, so it makes it easy to read. So that's why I'm going to use this, and I put it, and I type it out in all caps actually. So I'm going to change this and put it in all caps. All right, so you have it set up now. Now what I also do, you'll see this rectangle here. I do this just to make sure that it's straight. So I have this rectangle and I keep it in the front. And I use this to help me with lining it up. So I have the rectangle here. And then what I'll do is I'll put the letters inside. Let me make sure. And this needs to be smaller. So I'm gonna make the height similar to these Hennessy letters. All right, so this height is 1.1. Let me see if this will fit. Nope, it ain't. I'm sticking back to what I said in the beginning. Too small. All right, so 0.58. And one of the ways you can test it is to just put one of the letters on it just to see if it will fit. And if not, you can always just shrink it just a little bit. Keep in mind, you're gonna curve these. Now in Design Space, you can actually curve the word with this feature here. You can curve your letters this way. The only thing is, it's pretty difficult to get it to curve on this exact angle. And so what I usually end up doing is just doing it by hand. So I'm gonna zoom in so I can see this better. All right, so right now the height is 0.86. So the next thing I wanna do, let me see if it's gonna fit on here. All right, I think it will. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller just to be safe. All right, so right now it's 0.763. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to click under the advanced editing and I'm going to ungroup to letters. So now all the letters are separated and I can edit them all on my own. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to curve them manually. So you see this little arrow here, then I can just turn it around like this and make sure it fits. So the thing is, you don't want your letters to do what my letters are doing, which is you don't want them to touch the outside of your circle. So I'm actually gonna make this even smaller. I should have followed my own direction. You see how being hard-headed gets you? You end up making mistakes. So listen to what I said before about the sizing. Don't make it no bigger, because if you put your letters to where they touch the outsides of the circle, what's gonna happen is when it cuts the design, then it's gonna slice out part of your circle and it's not gonna be complete. So you wanna make sure that when you put when you curve your letters around the circle, that it doesn't touch any of the outsides of the SVG design, because then it's gonna cut that part out. So I am actually going to go back and then resize it to make sure that it's not gonna fit on the circle, because I was just being hard-headed. All right, so I'm gonna make it even smaller. All right, so now let me turn it and see just to test. I'm gonna start testing by testing out the D. All right, that's a little bit close. That makes me nervous. My anxiety is already bad. I ain't got time for that. So I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller just to make sure that it's gonna fit with some spacing. All right, so I'm pretty comfortable with that. And what we have the height at now is, it says 1.5, so good to go. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is what we were doing before, is to ungroup to letters. I don't know, Design Space confusing me because I could have sworn it didn't fit the last time, but honey, I might be on something. All right, so we ungrouped it to letters. Now the tricky part is getting all your letters evenly spaced on your circle. And what I like to do is I'll start with the ending letters and I'll arrange those two first, just to make sure it doesn't look wonky. So like I know the D and the E are gonna be my end letters. And so I'll place those first and then space out the rest to make sure that you can actually read it. And it doesn't look like an acronym. I know how much Black people love to turn words into acronyms, but this ain't that. So I usually will place the outside letters first. And if it's a shorter word or a shorter name, then I will try to focus it to where it's closer to like the top center of the circle versus like trying to spread it out across the whole arch. And you could also, like the same way that, remember earlier when I showed you how to take the stars out, you could also add your own custom shapes as well. All right, so I'm gonna move this around a little bit, and you would use this little rotating tool here to rotate them onto the circle. And there's really no like perfect way to do it. The only thing is you have to make sure that you're paying attention to the edges of the SVG, because if the letters are actually sitting on the edges, then it's going to weld together. And when you cut it out, it's gonna cut out part of that circle. So that's why you wanna make sure you're extra careful with the edges of the SVG, because you don't wanna cut it out and waste your vinyl. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more so y'all can see. All right, so I'm gonna space it out, curve it a little bit more, and you can do it like on a gradual curve. So it can be like, you know, some letters are slightly curved, so it's going around in an arch. Like, remember the old school word art in Microsoft Word? It can be like that, where it's like just a slight arch, not totally curved. So each letter, I will have variations for how much each letter is curved. So you see, like, I have the dance part at the top, and this is gonna say dance fuel. So I'm gonna put dance at the top and fuel at the bottom. All right, so now I'm going to move the circle. Well, I'm actually gonna copy the D. So Control C, Control V, to make sure that the sizes of the words are the same. And then I'll double click it because I'm gonna change it from D to fuel. And I'm gonna follow the same process. So before I work with fuel on the bottom, what I'm gonna do is move the SVG circle out of the way. So I'll move that out of the way. Move this rectangle out of the way. I'm gonna use my mouse to select dance. I think I selected more than dance, hold on. So I'm gonna use my mouse to select just the word dance, and then I'm gonna click weld. The reason why you wanna do that is because when you get to the point where you're going to cut out the word from the SVG circle, you have to make sure that you're only cutting out complete design. So if you had all these separate letters, the D, the A, the N, the C, the E, if they were all separate, then the slice tool wouldn't be as effective, and you want to be able to slice it all together. So now I can move my circle back to wherever I want my dance to be. And then if you don't want to go through the process of moving it, what you could do is just make the circle invisible. So over here where it has this eye, you could just make it invisible. I'm hard-headed and obviously like to do things the hard way. So you can always just make it invisible. That way you don't have to worry about the placement again and all that. But I be trying to maximize how much time I have away. So sometimes I do stuff the long way. But so we're gonna follow the same process with fuel. Same size letters, like I said, because we copied the D. And we're going to separate. You can choose to curve it a little bit if you want. I'm not, because we're gonna curve it going on a downward arch instead of upwards, which you could do. So this one is a little bit easier actually. So you don't have to do as much work. I'm still gonna make this a little bit smaller. And so with this, you could actually just use the design space curve, and it curved it almost perfectly. All right, so I'm gonna go back and check to see if anybody has any questions. Child, where is chat doing it? Hold on. don't even know where I put it. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right, I don't see no questions, so I'm gonna keep going. All right, so now I'm going to move the rectangle out of the way. I'm going to make the SVG disappear. And I'm going to weld the letters again. Even though we didn't separate it, I'm still gonna weld them. All right, so now that I've welded those, I'm gonna make the rectangle invisible. By the way, the rectangle is 3.733 width and 0.111 high.
Mom,
Yes, baby.
there's a puppy in here.
Okay, close the door, baby. All right, we got another visitor, y'all. My cousin just came. Okay, so Lakiva asked, how am I making the circle disappear? So anytime you're working in design space, you can hide your layers. So let's see for this one. So you click the layer, and I will admit, if you have any experience with graphic design or Photoshop, it's a lot easier if you have that experience, but the people at Cricut have made it very, very easy for you to still create things even if you don't have a graphic design background. So let's say I wanted to make this disappear from my canvas. So you would click the layer, and then you see here where it has the eye, then you can click this eye, and then it disappears. When it reappears, when you want to see a layer, then you can click the eye again and it will reappear. Same thing here. If I wanted to hide this layer, somebody really loved Hennessy. Oh, that was actually for my cousin. All right, so then I'll make this, I'll leave this because what I usually do on the sides of my cups is I'll make their name. I'll put their name on it. So that's why that's there. All right, so now we're gonna try to make it where we're slicing out the letters like what you see here. And what we're gonna do, and I actually have a tutorial on my channel about how to use the slice tool. So if you need a refresher on that, you can find that on my YouTube channel, The Craftinista Life. And I will put that in the description of the replay as well. So to use the slice tool for this design, you're going to make sure that you select all 3 layers. So you're gonna select the dance layer, the fuel layer, and the SVG layer. And the way that you can double check that is over here in your layers panel. You'll see where some layers are shaded in and some are not. So you see the fuel layer has that shading, the dance layer has that shading, the square layer does not, but the SVG layer does. And then you'll see the other layers do not have that shading. So this is how you can tell all 3 of the layers are selected. All right. So actually, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna do 2 layers at a time because you can't slice 3 different layers. So we're gonna do the dance layer first. So I'm going to hide the fuel, just like I showed y'all before. So now we're gonna cut out dance from the circle. So we're gonna select the SVG layer and the dance layer. And you see now the slice option is available. Under the layer section, you have slice, you have weld, you have attach, and you have flatten. We're gonna click slice. And slice is essentially just cutting out one layer from the other. So we're cutting out the dance from the SVG. And this is also a good point where you can double check to make sure that your letters are not touching the lines of the design. And if they are, you can hit Control-Z to go back, or you can use the arrows within design space to undo it. So you can do the placement again and undo the slice. So you can click undo until you get to the point before you've sliced it, and then adjust your design a little bit. Oh, hold on. I need to go back one more time because the C and dance is making me nervous. So I'm gonna switch out the C and dance, and you'll be able to see if you've gotten to the point before the slice, because you'll see the difference in your layers. Somebody else, y'all. All right, so I'm back before the slice, so I'm going to adjust this just a little bit because it's making me nervous and I don't want to cut it out. Okay. All right, this is bad. Hold on. Child, these people gonna make me refilm this whole tutorial the way they keep running out on this porch like they don't know what I'm out here doing. All right, so, and they don't open the door back. Forgive them, Father. All right, so we're gonna select the SVG layer and the dance layer, and we're gonna click slice. And we're gonna slice it away. We're gonna slice the dance letters away from the blank SVG. So you can move it out, and now on your layers panel, you see where it says slice result. So you'll see it says 2. So the first layer is the original layer that you had, and the second layer, which is the slice result layer, is what you got when you cut it out. And as you can see now in the design, dance is cut out. All right, so you can actually delete these layers if you want. I don't know why you would want to keep them unless you like a design layer hoarder, but you can delete those extra layers. And now we're gonna unhide the fuel layer, and we're gonna bring it back to the front. So you can click arrange and bring it to the front. So if for any reason you can't see it, then you probably are hiding it behind one of the other layers. So then again, just click arrange and then click send to front, and you'll be able to see it. And this is also one of the features that's really, really similar to how Photoshop works with layers too. So we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna select the now new design, which is now called slice result. You're gonna select that layer and the fueled layer, and you're gonna click slice again. So now again, you have your original fuel layer, and now you have the slice layer, and you can see the fuel part has been cut out of the design. So you can close out the fuel, which you're deleting that layer. Again, I don't know why you would want to keep it unless if you develop like a signature design where you have maybe like something on the bottom and then you always make a custom top. What I would do is I would keep one of these layers to use it as my guide for how long I can make it, how high I can make it. That's really the only reason I would keep a layer around. Other than that, you can delete it. It's just clutter, and decluttering your life is good. All right, so this is the design that we're gonna cut out. And I wanna show you because my daughter made a request for her colors because red is her favorite color. So I'm gonna show y'all how to put it on your mat. All right, hold on. All right, do you always have to slice your design before sending it to the cutter? Yes, you do. The whole point of slicing the design is, I'm gonna show you. So, y'all looking all in our house. So, the whole point of slicing the design is so that you can get your letters like this as opposed to it being like the actual vinyl letters, you have to slice out this part, these parts of your design. So that's the point of slicing. So when you cut it, it's gonna look like this. And you see all these stab marks? It's because this thing is really, really sharp. I poked myself. So, but don't worry, that's these little holes in here, you're not gonna be able to see it. So that stuff doesn't matter. But this is what slicing it does. That's why you gotta slice it. You gotta cut it out. And and I'm gonna show y'all how to weed it, so don't worry. So I'm actually gonna cut it, and I'm doing this because every time I try to skip certain parts of the tutorial, people complain. They're like, oh, you didn't show us how to put it on the mat. Oh, you didn't show us how to cut it. You didn't show us how to weed it. So I'm like, all right, bet. Guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to run through this whole thing. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you ain't got to watch the whole thing. So now, if people still complain, I'm going to tell y'all. I'm going to tell y'all where to put them complaints. So my daughter picked this color because she likes red. She picked this quote, Dan's Fuel. So shout out to Aubrey. And what I'm going to do, because this is 651, this is a sheet. And I got this from JSI Signs. I actually used my points, so this was free. And this is I think it's 12 by 12, and I got this for like 75 cents, but again, I had points, so it was free. So I have the light grip mat, but you can use a standard grip mat. And I'm laughing because the last set of mats that I ordered from Amazon, I was trying to be cheap, and I saw this set of mats that was like, oh yeah, Cricut compatible. And then I found out that they were not actually Cricut mats. And so you can't use the standard grip. And I will say that those other mats did work pretty good, although they didn't hold up as well as Cricut. So how do you put it on your mat? So me, I like, since pretty much it's the same size, this 12 by 12, this 12 by 12. So what I'll do is tongue-tied. If I am just cutting out the one design, then I will set it up where I will put it edge to edge. So this 12 by 12, this 12 by 12, take it, put the corner of your 651 on the edge and put it shiny side up. We're not gonna mirror this. We're not gonna like do anything special. It's not like HTV where you gotta cut it shiny side down. And I laid it crooked because this is not how I usually work. But all right, so corner to corner, edge to edge. Let's see if I can get this right. Nope, still crooked. Hold on. I'm about to do it how I usually do it instead of trying to, so that way I can show y'all what it looks like. I ain't got time for no crooked design. All right, so it's really only like 3 inches. This is what it looks like on the mat. All right, so try to make sure that there's not any air bubbles on the mat. Now, some people always use a squeegee. I'm not some people. You can use a squeegee for this. I don't. So just make sure that there's no air bubbles and that it's laying flat, shiny side up on the mat. So you're gonna load it into your cutter. Now I'm using my maker, thanks to the beautiful people at Cricut for this wonderful gift. That's not a plug, by the way, they really did give me this. All right, after I did the commercial, they was like, what you want, girl? And I was like, well, I'm still using the Explorer. What can we do about that? And they was like, we're gonna give you a maker. And I'm like, what? Girl say, what? What you about to give me? And like 2 or 3 weeks after the commercial, my maker came to my porch, which was a wonderful thing because my Explorer died, like red ring of death. So I'm about to show y'all how to set it up on your screen so that way you know how to do the settings and stuff. So what I do especially when I'm doing multiple cuts, I'll change the color of my designs just to help me with confusion because as smart as I think I am, when I'm crafting, I be making all kind of mistakes. So since my vinyl this time is red, I'm going to make it red. And then also I typed out her name, which most of y'all probably see me calling her Baby Love, but her name is actually Aubrey. And one of my coworkers actually named her when I was an HR executive. I wanted her name to be Audrey because I love Audrey Hepburn. But my ex had an ex named Audrey, and we was equally petty. So he was like, nope, her name can't be Audrey. So Aubrey was like the next thing, and I didn't even know this was Drake's name until after we named her. And I started telling people, yeah, her name's Aubrey. And they're like Drake? And I'm like, oh man, I did not know she had his name. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the letters, and I just typed out her name. This is Arial Black as well. And you can just type out their name and I'll show y'all. It's gonna go on the side of the cup. And another way you can do this is with the color sync option over here on the right. If you want to make all the designs a certain color, or if you want to see which colors are synced with which design, then you can go over here, you can change it. Like if I wanted this one to cut in red, I could drag and drop it over there. If I wanted these purple ones to cut in the beige, I can drag and drop them there. So that's another way that you can easily change the color of your layers. It's important to also note that changing the color of your layers does not do anything in real life when it's time to cut. So even if I change this to red, it's not going to mean that the Cricut is going to cut it out in red. This just is to be used as a guide for you to test out design colors. If you are cutting whatever color vinyl you want to cut, that's the color that you have to load into the Cricut. The Cricut is just a digital precision cutter. It's not a printer, so it's not going to say, well, you put purple vinyl, but your layer is red, so I'm going to make the purple vinyl red. No, if you want your design to be cut out in a certain color, you have to load that color in your Cricut. The Cricut is not a printer. So just by changing these colors, it's just to be used as a guide. And also because I don't want to go through the process of cutting all three, I can just cut one mat. So I have the design sliced out. I have the name ready to go. They're both the same color, so they're both going to be the same cut. So I'm going to click Make It. And the option to mirror, the option to change the material size, you can do all that. I am not going to do much of that. I am just going to select the mat and then click Continue. And at this point, you have to make sure your machine is connected. And it should automatically detect your machine. Again, this is working with Design Space. So it should detect your machine. And then once it detects your machine, then you'll be able to go through and select which materials you're cutting. Now, this point is, hold on. This point is very, very important because this is the point where you're going to tell your machine how thick and how heavy the material is it's cutting, because this is going to determine how much pressure your machine uses to cut. So I'm going to select my maker, and the cut setting that I'm going to use is the vinyl cut setting. And then once you have this, then your go button should be flashing on your machine. You would just click the go button, and then it's gonna start cutting. And at this point, I would grab my materials that I'm going to use to weed. So you're gonna grab your little, this looks a lot like a dental pick. So I'm pretty sure, I mean, don't go in your bathroom, don't do that. But I'm pretty sure you could use a dental pick for this if you don't want to you like buy, I'm sorry, Ashish, I know I'm like taking all kind of money out of your pocket, but if you don't want to buy the Cricut stuff, because that stuff is expensive. That's my cousin. She came to visit from Tampa. She's a veteran and she just got her doctorate. So yeah, she did her dissertation on how veterans are treated by the VA. I don't know like the whole title, but now I call her Dr. Cousin. So we got degrees in this family over here. Got some smart people. I'm just glad to be one of them. Oh, that damn thing stabbed me. So while my maker is cutting, I'm gonna check the comments to see if y'all have any questions. And by the way, if you're not already a member, I'm going to start posting more heads up about my tutorials in my craft group, Crafters Plus Creators. You can also subscribe to my email list. My website is Rakisha.com, and you should see a pop-up where you can sign up for my email list, and I'll send notifications there where you can find out about upcoming tutorials. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Craftinista Life. I just crossed the 1,000 threshold for followers. But my channel is really steadily growing, and I'm very, very proud of that. It's been a lot of hard work. And we got another visitor. Hey, Mama. Yes, baby.
Can I have corn?
Yeah, get it. Thank you. See? Listen, people been leaving me alone all day. All day I've been left alone. Nobody bothered me. Nobody asked me for nothing. As soon as I say, all right, y'all, I'm about to go live and do a class, everybody needs something. Here we go.
I don't know where to take the corn up.
I'm back, y'all. All right, so now it has cutouts, 100% finished, so I can stop. The part for design space is over. All right, so it's cut out. All right, so let me see. Oh, we gotta be careful. If you use letters that have middle parts like a R, a D, a B, an A, be careful with those little pieces because they might, they come off easily. All right, so we're gonna peel it from the mat, and since we want to preserve our mat, I don't even know, we're gonna put our protector back on it. Because these mats ain't cheap. All right, so now is the fun part. We're gonna weed. So we're gonna take some scissors because out of the whole sheet, this little section right here where you see these little bit of cuts, that's the only part we need. You don't need all the rest of this. And it would behoove you to cut as little excess as you can so that you can keep using it. And especially if you're doing this for a business, you want to make sure that you're using as little as you need to. So as you can see, this is how much I cut out. So that's why I said about the pricing part, this sheet was like 75 cents. And this is how much I'm using of this sheet. And I could just take this and say, all right, well, I can do at least one more, at least two more, and maybe like 3 more from this one sheet. So it probably cost me like 33 cents per design to make this. $2 for the cup, 33 cents for the vinyl, 5 minutes of your time. You in there. So the parts that we're going to weed. Now what you can do for a reference is you can go back to your design space if you want, but this is what you want it to look like. So you can go back to the SVG so that you will know which parts you're supposed to weed and which parts you're supposed to keep. And also you can take a look at the cup, because you know for a fact this little girl is going to be in the middle. I don't know what the Starbucks girl called. I wish I knew. I'm not like a Starbucks obsessed person, so whatever. You know you're going to get rid of, you know you're not going to be able to cover her, so that's a given. And then you know the design is going to go like around her. So that'll give you an idea of like what you're going to weed. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to tell you, you're going to weed the letters and you're going to leave the middle. So remember I said like with the letters, you want to make sure you're paying attention to these middle pieces because those matter. So like I have a middle piece for the D and a middle piece for the A. All right. Sorry about my nails. I've been cooking all day. And that's another thing. I made sure to make dinner early for everybody so nobody had to ask me for nothing. And I'll be dog. You just Black people, I swear. So to weed, I'm going to start, get my little dental pick / Harbor Freight detail, whatever thing this is called. So I'm going to take the middle out. So to weed it, I stab mine. I don't know how other people do theirs, but I stab mine a little bit. And honestly, you can weed this by hand. I'm just doing this because I'm about to post it on YouTube and I just want to show people different ways. But you really could just peel it back like this and then pull the letters. So I've been there where I ain't have a lot of money to like buy a whole bunch of craft supplies and stuff. So I ain't about to sit here and try to make y'all feel like the only way you can do this is if you go buy this tool from Harbor Freight. Girl, you was born with fingers, I hope. And just peel it with your fingers if you don't have this tool. And when I'm really stressed, that's what I do. Like I peel by hand. So you see? And then I just stick the vinyl on itself because it's permanent and you don't want it to like get stuck on any of your furniture and stuff. So the only ones that I really paid the most attention to are like the letters that have the middle. And my friend is an English teacher. She said those letters have a name, but I'm not invested enough to remember what those kinds of letters are called. But it's like the letters that have the middle pieces. There's some kind of name for them, but I don't know. Like the D, the B, the R, those letters. I usually just pay attention to those letters. But all the other ones, girl, I just yank it off. And then remember for the design, it cut out 2 of these sections. So like this one right here and then this one. Remember for the design, you're gonna weed out this middle one right here. And when you're weeding, you're just taking away the parts that you're not keeping as part of the design, and you're keeping the parts that are gonna become part of the decal. So that's what it means to weed. So we're taking away the D, the A, the N, the C, the E that was cut out. And then this is gonna be what's called the decal. And some people actually just sell this part. So if you wanted to do that, you could probably sell the decal for like $2 or $3, maybe $2. Because as I said, if you get this sheet for $1 and you can make 3, it really only costs you like 33 cents to make it. So we're just weeding out the stars. We're gonna weed out this fuel. We're gonna weed out the second line next to the big thick circle, and then we're gonna leave the outside circle. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna weed out the second circle, which really is just a middle circle. I'm talking about the second circle like it ain't 3. So I'm weeding out the second circle. And again, I'm just sticking the vinyl on itself. I didn't forget the A, in case y'all watching. I didn't forget it. It's just, I already know the triangle is weird, so I'm gonna have to do something special to make sure it doesn't come off. So I'm just gonna do this other stuff first. So, and then what I'll sometimes do is just grab the corner, like peel back the corner, bend the corner, Bend the corner. Bend the corner of the vinyl, and then I'll just take it off that way. All right, so then the next thing you want to do, if you have these letters that have the middle parts, you should just weed it off. These are the little pieces always get stuck under my nails or on my skin or somewhere. They're like the trickiest parts. Does anybody have any questions about what I've covered so far while I'm weeding this? All right, so I'm just picking out, like you see the triangle from the A, can y'all see that? So I'm just picking out the pieces that I'm not gonna keep. I'm gonna do the same thing to this other A here. I'm gonna take my time because it kind of came off. So I need to weed this halfway. What I'm doing with this one, since the triangle came up a little bit, I'm weeding it from the bottom. Oh, JK, it still came off. That's okay. So what I can do is I can still weed out the triangle. And the good thing is, if you have pretty good eyes, you'll be able to see this. But there's like a little bit of a trace of where it's supposed to be on the design, and you can just put it back where it goes. And that's how you can know. So don't panic. If you like me and you're a perfectionist, don't panic. Crafting has really helped with my perfectionism. Like now it's just like, oh, it's not perfect. That's okay because it's pretty. So see? All right, so now we have it weeded. The fuel is cut out, the stars are cut out. See my little stab marks? All I do is just dig in there and peel it off. Dig in there and peel it off. Dig in there and peel it off. And this is a really thick design, so weeding it is very easy. And that's another reason why I chose the Arial black font as well, because you can see how thick the letters are. It's easy to read. Like young people who are just learning how to read can see it. Older people who just need glasses and refuse to go get it can read it. It's really, really easy to read and weed. I got bars. So you see the D, the A, the N, the C, the E, all that's weeded out. The stars are weeded out, and I'll show y'all because that way you'll have a reference for what it's supposed to look like with design space. Did I close out design space? No, I didn't. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't. All right, so let me go back. So y'all can see, just as a reference for what it looked like in design space versus what it looks like once you cut it out. Because for me, like sometimes I get confused, like what the heck is this supposed to look like? And then I can go back to design space and see like, okay, I weeded it right, I did it right. So I want to show y'all for reference purposes. All right, so see? This is what it looks like on the screen. This is what it looks like when you cut and weed it. So that's another way where you can tell, because when I first started these, I used to weed out the wrong part of the circle. So what I started doing is as I'm weeding, I'll finish out the cut and then I'll go back to the design space canvas and I'll weed it that way. I'll weed it while looking at it. And basically the white parts of the design are the parts you're not supposed to keep. And the red parts of the design are what's going to become your decal. And you see, just like it looks like in Design Space, the white parts are the parts that I weeded out. The red parts are part of my decal.
Can you take a second break?
No, I'm about to finish up.
You better finish up. I want you to meet Miss Wanda.
Okay.
The lady that's really nice.
Okay.
All right, you'll be through in a minute.
Yeah. Rude. All right, so this is what the decal looks like. Now, at this point, you can add it to your contact paper or transfer tape. If it's easier for you, you can cut off the two different pieces. So you can cut off the name and cut off this. But I pretty much just add the transfer tape to two different times. But I really wanted y'all to see the difference. All right, so now, okay, so this is a decal, so y'all can see on the big screen. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your contact paper and you're gonna add the contact paper to the decal. So the contact paper has two different pieces, right? So it has this top piece, and I have to open it a little bit just to show y'all. So it has two pieces, see? So it has the backing and it has the actual contact paper or transfer tape. The part that you're going to work with is the actual contact paper. All right, so what you need to do for this is you need to separate it so that you can be able to use it. So essentially what contact paper or transfer tape does is it makes it so that you can lift the decal off of its backing. Because as you can see, the decal actually has two parts too. So on the decal, you have the 651 vinyl that you cut out, and then you also have the vinyl backing, which is the white part. So in order to put it on the cup, you need to remove the decal from the backing so that you can transfer it to the cup. And all contact paper is it's really, really like light grip tape, which allows you to lift it without making it permanent. So like you wouldn't use duct tape as a transfer tape because duct tape is known to have a really, really strong grip and you wouldn't be able to take it off the duct tape. So that's why contact paper or transfer tape are ideal. So what I do is I would trim, this is the contact paper, I would trim it so that the decal and the contact paper are about the same size. Now I just cut this real sloppy, but as y'all can see, it covers all of it. So what I usually do is I would trim the decal, the contact paper, because it actually makes it easier to lay the decal if your contact paper isn't that big. It makes it easier to lay it without problems. So I'm gonna trim the contact paper, and I feel so awful wasting this. I feel so bad wasting this. I hate wasting supplies, but I know when I'm working, I work better if they're like about the same size. So at this point, what you need to do is separate the actual contact paper from the backing, like this. And then what I would start doing is I would put the decal like this with the backing. So as I'm peeling away the backing, I'm pressing the decal on it. As I'm pulling away the backing from the contact paper, I'm pressing the decal on it, and I can peel it away like this. And obviously I would do this on a table, on a flat table, but don't have that luxury today. So that's how I attach mine. Now, some people would grab a credit card or use something to like rub it. Don't use a lighter, this is a safety hazard, but they would use something to like rub it just to make sure that it's on there. But you can use any blunt surface. So like I'm just peeling away the backing from the contact paper, and it's being added to the decal. So now you see the decal is two pieces itself. You have the decal with the backing on the back, and you have the contact paper on the front. So what you're gonna do is use the contact paper to lift the decal off of its backing. Now you wanna make sure that it's on there really good, and the way you can see that is you can see that there's not very many air bubbles. So you can rub it really hard. You can take something hard to rub the surface with it. I'll use like a ribbon. So you can take something hard, rub the surface just to make sure that it's really stuck on there really good. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna use the contact paper to lift the decal off of the back, like this. So when you start to lift it, your decal should come off the backing. If it doesn't, you need to press it again and do a little bit more work. This is when like the squeegees come in handy. Of course, I could not find mine today. I set aside all my materials for this tutorial today. And this morning, these kids went to rummaging. Sorry, the table's shaking. And I could not find this X-Acto knife that I'm gonna use. This ain't even mine, this is my sister's. My stuff don't have this stuff on it. But I'll show y'all why we need that in a second. So I'm gonna peel this off. I was gonna try to show this, let me see. So you're peeling it off. So you see, this is the backing. This is the back of your 651. That's what we're peeling away. So you're peeling this back part off and it's not stuck. So I'm just gonna press it some more. If it's not coming up, don't keep peeling. If it's not coming up on its own, you wanna go back and press it again. All right, so you see now we're separating it. And again, you want to pay close attention to those letters with the little pieces because you want to make sure that the pieces come up too. A don't really make a lot of sense without that little triangle in the middle, unless it's like a design element. The same thing with this D. The D don't want to cooperate. All right, hold on. So yeah, it would definitely make it easier for you to peel it up if you use like a card or a squeegee to rub it so that you make sure that it comes up all the way. So you peel this part off. This you don't really have to worry about because none of these letters have like, you know, those little small pieces. All right, so now we have the decal. And make sure that you don't have any like debris or residue or anything on the back of this because this is a part that you're gonna stick on the cup. And you wanna make sure there's nothing extra sticking here. So wear a hairnet, don't be like me. Wear a hairnet or something, just make sure that when you lay it down, you're laying it down on this side, not the sticky side. And so now this is the backing from the 651. You can dispose of this unless you're planning to sell it, at which point you could just use this to ship it. Just attach the decal back to the 651 and then that's it. All right, so now you have your decals. This is a decal. You could use this on a window. It's 651. You can use this on a window. I wouldn't recommend using it on a wall. If y'all got that reference, we cousins. I wouldn't recommend using this on a wall. I would recommend 631 for walls, but this is your decal. So if you ever hear me talking about a decal, this is what I'm talking about. All right. So I'm actually going to cut this. I'm gonna cut the name off actually. So now I have two different decals. This is gonna go on the front and this is gonna go on the side of the cup. All right, So this is the first decal. Now, before you attach this is why you need the X-Acto knife. Before you attach this, there's a little trademark symbol on the Starbucks cup. To me, it's annoying. To me. Now, if you're gonna sell this, you're not supposed to remove this. If you're gonna sell it, you're not supposed to remove this symbol. Personal use, do what you want. That's where the X-Acto knife comes in. You wanna scrape this little part off. And I only say scrape it off because it's annoying, but it might not bother you to have this little piece on your cup. But I scrape it off. And you can just lightly scrape it. Don't cut into the cup. Don't do that. But just very, very lightly scrape it just to take that little part off so it's not showing through your vinyl. And again, if you're selling this, you are not supposed to remove license markings from the cup. That's my little PSA. Now, you be hard-headed and do it yourself. Don't be calling me talking about I'm your lawyer. You ain't paid me no kind of retainer, so I can't do nothing for you. All right, it's not a significant change, but it's enough for me. So you see the difference? This is the cup with it. This is the cup without it. With it, without it. With, without. So you see, it's just a small change. Oh, the decal done got caught on my hand. All right, so this is the cup. It's the one we're working with today. As you can see, this is where the decal is gonna go. Now, this part is gonna take some practice because as you can see, it's a pretty tight fit. It's just the opposite side, just testing it out. Now, what I have had to tell myself is it is okay if it is not perfect. It is okay. So what I try to do is when I'm attaching the decal, I try to make sure that there is an even amount of spacing between the Starbucks, fairy girl, whatever they call her, and the decal. Something similar to this, where there is similar amount of space on all parts of the circle. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, like I said, but this is your goal, right? So you can adjust it a little bit, play around with it before you make it permanent. So that's what I'm doing here, just making sure, and this is also a good way to check your size. But this is the goal for where I usually sit it. Let me see. Actually, this is where I usually put it. This is where I usually put it. Right? Try to make it even on the top and the bottom, and on circles don't have sides, but I was about to say on the side until the universe was like, girl, circles don't have sides. So this is what you're gonna do. So you're gonna take your cup cradle, it actually fits in the cup cradle. So you're gonna take your cup cradle like this. All right, and you're gonna take your decal. And again, you can play around with it before you place it. I try to get above the cup, and I also try not to put so much pressure on myself to get it perfect. It costs 33 cents. If you get it wrong, peel it off and do the shit again. So let me see if I could. If I do this backwards and mess up, y'all better not talk about me. Oh, and Nicola said you can use a credit card in place of a squeegee. Yes, except I don't know where my purse is. So that was dead. Yeah, these people been running me crazy all day. I think I need to get away. All right, so we can place, can y'all see it if I do it like this? Can y'all see that? Let me see if I turn it away from myself and like do it like that and do it like this. All right, that's probably better than me trying to hold it. So I like to get above it, probably because I'm short and I got to get a little height on me. But let me see. I'm not going to stick it down until I'm ready. Let's see. So I like to get above it just because then my vantage point is better for seeing nope. I'm gonna stop talking so I can focus. All right. Since it's a bigger decal, you shouldn't have too much problems with getting it on without bubbles. But what I'll do is I'll start from the middle. When I'm pressing it down, I'll start from the middle. And this is when the squeegee, credit card, library card, whatever, that's when this would come in handy. But whenever I'm applying a decal, period, I'll always start from the middle and work my way out, just to make sure. But with this cup, it doesn't really attract dust. It doesn't really attract lint. So you don't really have to worry too much as you would with like a glass, or if you're working with glitter, then that's when I would be worried. But other than that, I don't really worry too much about this particular cup. The thing is just making sure it's stuck down. And then once it's down, it's down. 651 is a very, very strong sticker, and it doesn't come off easily. So then once you have it in a place where you're comfortable, press it down, and then remove your transfer tape. Again, paying attention to those letters with the insides in the middle, making sure that those are stuck down, and then that's it. That's the decal part of it. Now I am a frugal crafter. I'm about to reuse this. I'm about to reuse this transfer tape. So I'm gonna put the backing for the transfer tape back on this because I'm gonna reuse it again. I got another one to make anyway. All right, so this is the front of the cup. Hope y'all can see that. It's not perfect. Nobody is. All right, so then, I don't think this can fit on here. The name part. I add the name part down the side. Now you can add it where it reads from top to bottom. You can add it where it reads from bottom to top. However you want to do it, you can add it to where, see me, I'll hold it like how they're drinking. And then that's how I'll decide how I want their name. So I add it on the side of this, where the drink selections are. I add it there, which is pretty much where Starbucks will write your name. So that's it. You can make it bigger. You can make the name in a different font, something more fancy. That's a good thing about this. You can pretty much make it whatever you want. You can use a fancy font. My favorite script font is Samantha, and it's usually like $17, but I love it. You can also get Cricut Access to get more fonts. What is that website? Fontbundles.com usually has some good fonts for commercial use. The thing is, if you're using a font and you're selling this, you also want to make sure that you're getting that you're using a font that you have commercial use rights for. So that's another thing. So font bundles is good for getting commercial use fonts. I'm gonna use this again too, except I don't know where the piece is I cut off. Oh, there it is, okay. All right, so you can put your cup cradle away. So this is your cup. This is the lid to your cup. So you just made a customized Starbucks cup. Now, I get a lot of questions about the selling part of it, which is what I love, because I like teaching y'all about how to make it, and then I like to tell you how to sell it. The selling part, how do you package this when you're giving it to a customer? I use these Dollar Tree loot bags like I showed y'all before. These. So the cup fits inside. Take one of the loot bags. The cup fits inside. These are also good for candy apples too, by the way. So that's a bonus tip. So the cup fits inside. I feel like I said that like 7 times. So the cup fits inside. I cracked myself up. And what I tie it with is, I usually tie it with like grosgrain ribbon. So like this ribbon, I'm gonna use this ribbon from Target. And I'm just gonna do like a rough estimate because I'm just gonna tie a bow. Now I am not perfect with tying bows. When I wanna do a really, really fancy bow, I use this thing, the Bow Dabra. That's what I use because, listen, I was a pretty smart kid, but there are some things I struggle with. And I remember struggling with writing all 9 letters in Rikisha. And I remember struggling with left and right and tying my shoes. Now you give me an algebra problem, 5th grade, I was good. But when I was younger, learning how to tie my shoes, all the bows, I just didn't care. So what I do when I'm selling them is I will cut a marker bow, and that's what I'm gonna start doing again this year. I will cut a marker bow to use as my sample. So whenever I'm about to cut the bow, then I'll automatically know that it's the right length. So I'm gonna use about this, I don't know how long this is, I'm sorry y'all. But I'm just gonna cut it. And I actually like to use, this because it closes it and stabilizes it. Now, where I'm from, this is called a bread twist tie. Well, twist tie, I don't know what y'all call it, but I call it a twist tie. I'm country and I'm southern, and I know we be having like names for stuff like soda water. We be having names for stuff that other people don't have. So I call it a twist tie. Y'all can call it whatever y'all want to call it. So I'm gonna take this and then try to tie the bow towards the front where the design is. Oh, this is gonna be so cute. Girl, my baby don't think this Christmas. We'll have spoiled so. All right, so just tie the bow like you would tying your shoes. Although most of my shoes are ballet flats and I'm not about that tied shoe life. But try to tie the bow the same way that you would tie your shoes. Now, sometimes I will make the ends a little bit fancier. And no matter what, I always seal it with a lighter. So I'll tie it like this. You see how much more fancy that looks? I know the tails are long, so, or different lengths, so I'm gonna cut them. And to make the alligator tails, you just flip the end and then you cut from the outside and you cut a triangle out of it. So I cut the edge like this and like that. That's how you make the alligator tails. So I'm gonna do it again. Start, fold it in half. I'm gonna cut from the outside towards the inside. I just feel like it makes them look a little bit fancier when you do it that way versus any other way. All right, so let me see. All right, that's it. This is so cute, y'all. I surprised myself, girl. I like the red and white. And the pattern ribbon, that's a way that you can stand out. Your product photos is a way that you can stand out when you're selling these. Everybody's starting to get Cricuts now. Everybody feel like they can start a business now. So you can stand out with your product photos, with your design choices, like maybe you'll get the printed vinyl. My sister and I were just saying this year it looks like the buffalo plaid is gonna be huge. So if you can use printed vinyl like kente, buffalo plaid, leopard, do the mirror vinyl. Your vinyl choices is a way that you can stand out. Your product presentation is a way that you can stand out. Of course, you can sell on Etsy. You can do it at vendor events. What I used to do is I would have these on display at vendor events, and I would have the little SVG pulled up, and I would make these custom on the spot. When I tell y'all, people used to go crazy for this, and it seems so simple. My sister and I talk about this all the time. Like the simplest things people love, and we just be like, girl, it took me 5 minutes to do that, but people are like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? And then what I used to do for the holiday shop is I would let people choose between like tea or hot cocoa. So I would go to Walmart and I would get like the boxes of hot cocoa, like the Starbucks or different types of hot cocoa, and then I would include that in the package. So the hot cocoa packet can either fit inside the cup or you can put it outside. So that's another way that you can be like, look, you get, you know, it's great for a teacher gift because for $8 to $10, you get, you know, something that you know for a fact they're going to use, because it can say something like teacher fuel. And again, that's one of the ways you can stand out, like whatever you make it say, that's something that, you know, that'll stand out. And then you add their name to the side. It can be fancier. Of course, you see how much space you have here. So you can make it fancier if you want. I like to make her name like this because we're mastering reading. So for her, she likes to be able to say, you know, this is my name. And I went to school in the 80s where we learned cursive. They're not learning cursive anymore. So putting her name in script would pretty much just confuse her. So that's why I chose not to put it in cursive. So for young kids, I try to use fonts that is easy to read, especially if I know they're learning how to read, because then it's easier for them to read their name. So yeah, this is it. This is what she'll be able to take to dance class and feel like a big girl, because we go to Starbucks. She likes their cake pops and their little Madeline cookies. So this will make her feel like a big girl, because the big girls in the studio, they always have Starbucks. I'm like, y'all going, I remember when they used to tell us coffee gonna make you not grow that big. And this is also like, I'll seal it off with the lighter, not to burn it, but just to like burn the edges. Girl, the ribbon not caught on fire. But I would just, like, this is why you gotta use big lighters. This is like one of them cheap lighters from Walmart. But I would just take it just to seal off the edges so that the ribbon doesn't fray. Try not to set it on fire. But yeah, make sure it doesn't fray. If I was selling this, I would honestly cut off the burnt part and do it over. That's me, because I'm a perfectionist. But that's it. Do y'all have any questions? This was faster than I thought. But again, this usually takes me 5 minutes at the most. So, but I wanted to make sure that I was very, very detailed for y'all so that it's like a tutorial that you'll get everything. Like, how do I package it if I want to sell it? What size is the decal? What kind of font can I use? What type of things can I use to set myself apart if I want to sell these? So, want to make sure that I covered all bases, because I've tried to watch tutorials on this and I'm like, girl, what size is that decal? And, you know, where'd you get your vinyl? So that's why I wanted to be so very detailed with this one. But yeah. And also on Saturday, October 18th, my sister and I are doing Crafting After Dark, where we're going to teach you how to make resin keychains. And these are some of the examples. And so October 18th in my group Crafters Plus Creators, you can join us for October 18th, 2019, because I know this video probably gonna be up a while. October 18th, 2019, in my Facebook group Crafters Plus Creators, we're gonna teach you how to make your own resin keychains using molds. So these are some molds that we made this morning. This is like a pink glitter. It's really pretty. And this is the letter K. Both of these for me, in case y'all didn't notice. My real name Rakisha, my nickname Kiki. So yeah, y'all can join me for that. And that's only gonna be in my craft group. And you have to be a member in order to join, because we get a little, we really let loose for crafting after dark. So I'll just say that. But that's it for today. So I'll check to see if y'all have any questions. So Kimberly asked, how much should we sell them for? So somebody asked in the beginning, I do mine 2 for $15. If they add the hot chocolate, then it's 2 for $20. Sometimes if I'm feeling generous, like if it's a vendor event, then I'll do them $9, $10 a cup. But I rarely give discounts because Starbucks don't give me no discount. I mean, JSI Signs is really good about having the points, so you can easily rack them up and get free vinyl and stuff. But for the most part, I don't give discounts. I don't run a lot of sales. I might run a sale Black Friday. Last Black Friday, I did not run a sale, and I thought I wasn't going to get no sales, and it turns out that was like the best week, the best Black Friday I had to date. So I don't run a lot of sales. I don't give a lot of discounts. I don't even give discounts to my family. They be like, it's $50 for that? Yes, 50 American dollars. Yeah. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to post it. Usually that's the delay for my YouTube channel, is I try to edit it, but I'm not going to edit this. Y'all going to see how my hair went from nice and pressed down to humidity hair, and y'all gonna see the whole thing. So I'm not gonna edit this. I'm just gonna let it process from Zoom, and I'm gonna go ahead and post it to my YouTube channel, The Craftinista Life, and I'll send out emails to everybody that registered. I'll send out an email once it's ready for y'all to watch. So thank you so much for joining me. Remember, I have the Facebook group Crafters Plus Creators. You can follow me on Facebook, Rakisha L. Godfrey. You can follow me on Instagram at Rakisha Craftinista. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about the business part of it, you can find all of my services at my website at rakisha.com. Thank you. Yep, 50 American dollars. All right, thank you so much for watching. I don't know what this is on my shirt. Thank y'all so much for joining me on this Saturday night. I know y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to spend it with me. So I love you for that. I love you for joining, and be sure to take care of yourselves. And remember, you can make it all your own, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Bye, y'all.